If you're the game master of your game, be it a new game master or a game master who has done this 1,000 times, there are going to be times when your players do something that you weren't expecting them to do. They find an NPC that they find just fascinating and decide to go down a whole rabbit hole that you hadn't planned for. Or maybe there's just a little shiny thing somewhere that they go off on, and you need to create an NPC on the fly. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not super hard. However, there is a section in GM Core on page 128 that does kind of cover creating NPCs, but there is a really quick way to create NPCs, and that is with the Pathfinder deck of endless NPCs. It's a really good deck. It does make it kind of quick. When you first look at it, it might seem like a bit much, but it is pretty easy after you do it once or twice. And after you do it those first or second times, you can get through it no problem. So my name is Don. I'm trying to be the Psy Strategist, and let's go ahead and get into it. So Pathfinder has a deck of endless NPCs, and this is a really interesting deck. It's something that I've kind of been wanting to get for a while, and I finally just kind of bit the bullet and went out and got it. And it is basically 2 decks of 52 cards or a total deck of 104 cards. And they have information on the front and back, and we're going to go ahead and cover that. But you lay it out in a specific format with 4 cards, and each 4-card permutation can go ahead and create a brand new NPC. They say actually on the back of the box, and I'll kind of read it right here, with over 100 million different combinations, you're sure to get an interesting new character every time. And I don't doubt that. Now let's go ahead and kind of look at a card and see what is on the card. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up card number 1, and we'll basically look at the information that is provided on all of the cards just with this single card. So we'll start out with the first thing, which is the illustration in the upper left. The illustration is just a picture of what the particular NPC looks like. It's so that you can describe it, and you could also probably take this and put it on Foundry or Roll20 or whatever particular virtual tabletop you're using in order to show the players who they're working with. Now, the second thing we'll point out is the ancestry, and this section notes the NPC's ancestry and, if relevant, their ethnicity or heritage. Then you'll have the names, and I really like this section because it kind of keeps you from having to create something on the fly. And there's a list of 12 possible names for the NPC. So you can pick one if you don't already have a name in mind, and it does make it very easy. If you don't like them, then go ahead and pick your own, and that's totally fine. Now, right next to that, at the left and right side of the cards, you are going to have the alignment arrows. The alignment arrows, you might think that would work if we're going by the old alignment system, where we have lawful to chaotic and we have good to evil. You might think that that doesn't necessarily apply. And once again, alignment is gone in the remaster. However, it does give you, the GM, an idea of how you might want to play that particular character. But I wouldn't think, like on this particular card, you have on both sides, it's at the very top. Don't think that that is going to kind of dictate that this is going to be a lawful good character. It depends on what the cards are underneath it. And we'll show that when we get to the back of the card. And then the last section is you have the details section. And this section basically randomly determines whether the character is a local resident or whether they have friends, family, or any acquaintances, or if maybe they're brand new to the area and don't know anyone, or maybe they're a local resident and still doesn't know anyone. Regardless, these little details will make this particular NPC special, and it's something that you can use in order to kind of incorporate it in your story. Now we'll go ahead and flip to the backside, and the backside has another whole bunch of information. And when you put all the cards together, it's kind of where it gets interesting. So in the 6th spot, you have the goal, and it is basically what the character is currently doing, what their job is, why they're at the location, how they fill their day. It could be anything from searching for something, or basically maybe they're taking a nap. Maybe they're out searching for a particular grocery item or something. That will be in this particular section. Then section 7, you have their role, and it basically describes what the character does in their day-to-day life. From baker to an assassin is what they actually say on the card. This is different than the goal because the goal tells you what they're doing at that specific point in time, where the role tells you what they do as a profession. Section 8 is the trait. And in this section, you're going to find basically a defining trait of the character's personality. It's something that you can use in order to actually hook the players into this NPC. It'll contain the conditions that you would have to come up with in order to use the secret part of this particular NPC. Then we have section 9, which is the secret. The secret isn't always used. And as a matter of fact, it is probably going to be very rarely used, but it is a deep, dark secret about the NPC that if you happen to come across it, or you might want to use it even if the conditions don't match, it is something that might even go totally against what the character does, but it gives you kind of another piece of information or to fill out that NPC. Then we have in number 10 is the alignment bars. Now, I will say this, the alignment bars are always different on each card. Obviously, there's only a certain number of permutations, but they aren't the same from card to card. So those alignment arrows that you saw on the front, when they're placed on top of these cards, it kind of really randomizes how you would approach the character from an alignment perspective. And then you will have the symbols. Now, the two areas contain anywhere from 0 to 3 symbols each, and it is basically scrolls or S's and hearts or H's. And both the goal and the role ask you to count the number of hearts and the number of scrolls that are visible in order to determine a specific aspect of the card. Once you see the layout, you're going to see that in this layout, you will have scrolls in the bottom left of both two bottom cards, and you will see hearts in both the bottom right on both two bottom cards. And it does provide a little bit of randomness in order to see what their goal and what their role is and bring that character to life a bit. I really do like this system. I would say the first or second time I tried to do it, I was pretty timid with it. But as I went on, it became super easy to figure out. Now, I'm going to go ahead and kind of do a little bit of layout here and show you basically how you would lay it out. And this comes with the card deck on how you would lay it out. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate a card layout. So the card layout happens like this. You take your first card and you place it with the illustration down. Then you take your second card and you're going to put that illustration down as well and kind of try to line it up on the left-hand side with the card number so there's enough space for a card to be placed on top. Then you're going to take your third card and you're going to put it down on top of the other two with that dark brown line lined up at the bottom, and then the illustration card on top. And you're going to see that you have the illustration card. Try to line it up so that the alignment arrows work out. But now we basically have an entire deck laid out and you can kind of see how it would go. And once again, if this particular NPC had enough conditions show up correctly where they would have a secret, well, you can just drag it down and you can reveal what that secret is in order to create another hook for your players. And it is one of these things that you can make the decision whether to use it or not. It might not make sense if they had something that was totally opposite what it was. But let's go ahead and kind of take a look at what NPC we have built here. So we have the illustration that you can obviously see. Its ancestry is a human, ethnicity is Vudrani. Then we have a list of names and we can choose anyone we want. And I am going to go ahead and select Jaya here. Then we have our alignment arrows. Now you'll see with the alignment arrows, the way that they're laid out, Jaya is chaotic neutral. Now, once again, I do know in the remaster alignments don't exist, but it still gives you maybe a little heads up on how you might want to play this. This deck came out in 2022, so before the remaster kind of was a thing, but you can still use it to basically inform yourself on how you might want to play this character. Then you have the details. Now, we'll go ahead and kind of cover some of the details. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to decide how they are related to this particular location. So if you look, you're going to see one scroll and another scroll for a total of 2. So because the category is 0 to 3, local resident, Jaya is a local resident. And then you're going to see in the lower right on both bottom cards that there's only 2 hearts. So for 2 hearts, Jaya has a few friends. Now we're going to start seeing some of the details for this particular player. So Jaya's goal is that Jaya is out for revenge. Someone has wronged this NPC and they're planning their revenge. The role is a shopkeeper. So this NPC has a store nearby where they sell a variety of useful goods to adventurers. And then next we'll move on to their trait. And it is basically the defining trait of this particular NPC, and that is happy. They mostly keep to themselves, but it's clearly happy with a smile on their face at all times, which would probably be good for a shopkeeper. And maybe it's a little bit of a sinister smile because Jai is out for revenge. Then you have the secret. Once again, if everything would have worked out, so in this particular case, you can see that it says if S or scrolls is 1, apply the secret. The secret would be this character recently came into a great deal of wealth. And if hearts was equal to 3, the gold is from an illegal source. So it gives you some really good hooks if you really wanted to bring it in. Once again, then we have the alignment bars. The alignment bars you can see on the left are lawful, neutral, and chaotic from top to bottom. And then on the right, we have good, good, and neutral. So once again, it doesn't always remain the same. Just because you see the arrows on the front hand side, both at the top or both at the bottom, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to line up where you think it is. And this is pretty much how you create an NPC from the deck of endless NPCs. And you can just shuffle up some more cards and create some more NPCs as you go. Now, I do hope you did enjoy this video, this little review of the deck of endless NPCs. Pretty safe to say that I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It really does bring a lot of things to life, and it is really interesting. Like there were some permutations of this that I came up with where the character was lawful good. Once again, I do know that alignment doesn't exist in the remaster anymore. It's edicts and anathemas. However, it does allow you to kind of figure out how you might want to play it. But I thought it was really interesting that you'd have a lawful good character and then you'd get to the secret because the secret is located in a card that has nothing to do with the alignment. Maybe the secret would tell you to do something totally opposite what it was. You might have a chaotic evil character that the secret was that it is an angel from another realm that has come down in order to save the populace. Super interesting. And in cases like that, you can go ahead and decide which story you want to go along with, how bombastic of an element you want to put into your story in order to basically allow the players to relate to the character. Super fun, super interesting. I could see it creating some crazy, wacky NPCs, but crazy, wacky NPCs definitely make that particular session stand out. So it is something to kind of think of and consider. Once again, I enjoyed it and I do recommend it. But I do hope you liked this review. And if you did, feel free to like, subscribe, or hit that notification bell. But whatever you do, I hope you have a great day and happy adventuring. Thanks.